the time I was 21, I filed bankruptcy and I gave up I had a lot of assets at the beginning of my young life and then wanted to get rid of that. I wanted to start fresh, went bankrupt, so I didn't have anything tying me down. So I didn't have much but a car and some clothes, so I sold everything I had and came out here with $3,000 and a dream.
How do you tie these loose ends and just leave?
I was 28 when I moved here. So it was like now or never. Because, after 30, it gets a little tougher. So if you're in your 20s and you're thinking, but don't overthink, like, what if it doesn't work? You have to sink or swim.
Welcome to Fruiting Body Podcast with your host, Brendan. Today we have an absolute OG legend of a guest. It is Daniel Baci. He is one of the originators of the entire video marketing and marketing team down at Tiger Muay Thai. This dates way back, way longer than any of you have been here. That kind of dates him and myself, more him than me. We are Fruiting Body. We are a medicinal mushroom company. I don't know why I sound like a radio host, but I do. And we're doing stuff like lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi. I don't know. I'm going to be a bit slow today, so I'm going to let Daniel carry the podcast. We just finished one with John Nutt. Do not forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that fun stuff. And without further ado, let's get this podcast started with Daniel Baci. First, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me, sir.
I think I've carried over John Nutt's energy, so yes. I might have embodied that.
Yeah.
I'll try to take it down a notch. Even me and him were going, and I was like, we can't both have this energy right now.
Oh, no. I was down there. I was like, man, this is going to go on. This could be a little while.
Yeah,
because he'll go and go.
Yeah, we tried. Like, we said about an hour, and I think we did 1:15. We'll probably cut a bit out for YouTube and then keep it going there. Let's jump right into it. Yep. As we were discussing, you're one of the originators over at Tiger. But before we get into that, share your story, where you're from, what's your story, and what actually drove you to Phuket.
Okay, well, I am American. Good old America, from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And what got me to Thailand was Muay Thai. I got into.
Here, just push that up a bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, you got it?
I think up a little. Yep. I'll let you know. Don't worry.
10-4.
10-4. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So, originally I was into MMA back in the States. I think I got into MMA in 2004, something like that. Before that, I started boxing when I was like 19, 20, on and off at a local gym. So I was always into like combat sports. And I remember my friend, Will Elliott, who's now the manager at
I know.
We've been best friends since we were kids.
Oh, shout out Will. We were training today. I usually train with Saturday with Will as well.
Yeah. So like I've known Will since we were kids. We've been close friends. We worked together, best friends. We trained together, obviously, and we traveled to Thailand together. I remember this. Actually, a funny story is I was living in Florida for like 1 year, and he had saved up like $10,000 or something. This was in 2004, 2005 maybe. And he called me up and he was like, man, I found this website, this place called Tiger Muay Thai. He's like, training kickboxing. I never, at this time, even though I was into MMA, Muay Thai was still a new thing. I didn't even know where Thailand was. I'm like, Taiwan? Yeah, let's go there. Yeah. I didn't know much about it back then, and he's like, I found this kickboxing camp and da-da-da-da-da. Should I take this 10 grand and go travel? Or should I build this? He had like some idea for some type of like construction business. I forget exactly what it was, but I was like, dude, we're in our mid-20s. I'm like, man, it's one in a lifetime opportunity. Go travel and tell me about it. So he took my advice. He went there and traveled to Tiger Muay Thai and came back and told me the stories. And I was like, whoa, dude, I got to check that out. So the very next year, we worked together back home. I moved back to the Cape and worked with him. And the very next year, I saved up my money, and then we both went out there together. And this was, I think it was late 2006, early 2007. I don't know the exact dates. Long time ago. And yeah, it just completely blew my mind. Like, immediately, I've never traveled before this. I've traveled the East Coast of the United States. I've never even been to the West Coast. I've never left the country, so this was like, And back then we didn't have the social media like people do now, that you can watch YouTube videos for hours, and you pretty much can, you're familiar with places before you even get there nowadays. Back then we didn't have that. We had the internet, but it was like, you have.
Yeah, it's a guessing game still.
Yeah, guessing game. No Google Maps, like.
I think we had Lonely Planet.
Yeah. Like I had to print my maps out back then.
Oh, yeah.
Like my first trip to Thailand, I had to try to drive my motorbike and look at a paper map. It was ridiculous. But anyways, so it completely blew my mind from the time, this is right after the first coup of Thaksin when I arrived, and there was still military around. They had machine guns, and it was a bit intimidating, and they dropped us off at the Khao San Road, and just the whole experience of Thailand and meeting people from all over the world, and training the martial arts over here was just mind blowing.
Were you just coming to train for health and fitness, and
Well, I had back then. I was young and testosterone driven, so I was like, I'm gonna be the next ultimate fighter. Like everybody else, I think at a young age when they get into it, fitness was a secondary me. I just like to punch things in the, get punched in the face. So yeah, I just fell in love with Thailand, and the experience just completely changed me. So we would go back home. We'd spend the winters here. So we went back home, and Cape Cod's a small place. It's a really small town. Nothing going on for young people. Nothing to do. Only kind of work opportunities is construction, and that's what we were doing. Just and it was
nothing exciting.
Nothing exciting. It just wasn't fulfilling. And I knew, coming here and meeting people that even lived out here and traveled the world, and you just realize there's possibilities.
What was your intention? Were you budgeting for 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah, so we come out here for my first trip was 2.5, 3 months or something like that. And so we would go back home, and because we worked together every day, and we talk about was Thailand. We're like, how can we go back? Let's go back. So we'd save our money again, and then we'd, come out. We came out the very next year, 2007, it was December of 2007, 2008. And we did it again.
You're working your summers, you're taking your winters off.
Yeah, so the winters here.
Because the construction, I'm assuming, goes a bit quiet in winters because there's not much you can do.
Exactly. People do work through the winters, but obviously that's the most depressing time you want to be alive, in that area. So we're like, let's take off to Thailand. So it's a no-brainer, really. So we did it again. Will, he was actually dating the owner of Tiger Muay Thai, William McNamara, his wife's sister, younger sister. He was dating her, so he had a relationship with the owner, and therefore I had a relationship with the owner. So it was the second year in is when I started to kind of do things for them. At the time, I wasn't a professional photographer or videographer. At the time, I was just my first trip to Thailand, I didn't even bring a camera. I didn't own one. But the second year, because I regretted that so much, because I went home and I didn't have any. I had a bunch of stories, but I didn't have any evidence, any videos or any photos. So the second year I went back, I brought a camera and I just filmed and photographed everything. Just filmed everything. It was stupid. People were like, "What are you filming?" I'm just, duh. I had this little, stupid dingy camera.
A power shot?
A power shot. It was something like that.
What was it? 3 megapixel back then?
I don't know. It said MP4 on it, and I was like, HD. It wasn't even full HD. I just filmed everything, and I started editing and stuff like that. So I started doing stuff for Tiger just as a, guest. Right?
For their YouTube, their website.
Well, at first I was just doing it for me, and I was posting it on my own YouTube and social. Okay. Well, back then, we didn't have Facebook.
There was no Instagram. There was YouTube back then.
There was YouTube, but it was still very new. Yeah. Still very new. So, at the time, William McNamara, the original owner, he actually, one thing I really give him credit for is he understood the value of content and keywords and spamming. What he did and what we ended up doing with Tiger, and what made the soy and Muay Thai tourism really blow up was just flooding the internet with content. So anyways, we'll get into that. Back to kind of where that kind of started.
That's all that technical SEO stuff.
Yeah. So where was I?
So you're coming there. You're kind of just creating your own content more organically, and at this point they're probably catching on and getting intrigued by what you're offering, and then there's this organic relationship that's developing.
Well, yeah. So obviously they were sharing my content that I was making, and and there was really no thought at that time that I would do anything with it. But after that second trip, we went back home, and it was the same thing, talking about Thailand every single day. And it was one day, and it was like a cold day. It was almost winter time, and it was like, how can I move to Thailand? I remember this exact. I was painting some trim on a house. I was like, dude, there's got to be a better way. This is what me and Will said to each other every day. There's got to be a better way. And I just had this weird idea. It just came out of nowhere, and it was like, how about because I know how much I enjoyed looking back at the videos I made of myself, like training and traveling. And I was like, what if I offered the Tiger Muay Thai guests training highlight reels of their training and fighting, and their experience. And at the same time, I can do some content for the gym and get free training and maybe a salary. And it just came out of nowhere. I emailed that very same day. I emailed the owner, and he didn't reply. It was a couple of weeks later, but what happened? We called William McNamara. His nickname was Big Mac. Okay, Big McNamara. He actually emailed Will because he actually offered Will the position to be manager before that, but Will turned him down for whatever reason. But once Will found out that I emailed Big Mac that I'm looking, he wanted to hire me. He's like, hey, your friend wants to come here and work for the gym. Would you like to come with him and be the Anyways, Will was not going to let me just move there on my own and him stay
leave
here.
him behind.
No way.
Like, no.
So I remember this like it was, yesterday. We drove down to the beach. He's like, I got something to tell you. He kept really quiet, and he's like, we're moving to Thailand. It was like, wow, life-changing decision, So that was just a few months later. I moved here in August of 2009.
So you've been coming for about 3 years now.
Yeah. So 2-3 years, and then I made the move.
I'm sure a lot of people are in the similar situation now. Maybe they're 20 to 25 years old. They're in Cape Cod. They're painting right now. A young Daniel, maybe someone that actually came from your high school. And these stories can be inspiring. Probably one part that can be a bit overwhelming is you're going to make that first leap. You've secured a job in Thailand. How do you tie these loose ends and just leave?
Well, you just have to go. It's all or nothing. I didn't, luckily at that time, I didn't own a lot. I actually, by the time I was 21, I filed bankruptcy, and I gave up all because I had a lot of assets at the beginning of my young life. And then anyways, wanted to get rid of that. I wanted to start fresh. Went bankrupt, so I didn't have anything tying me down. So I didn't have much but a car and some clothes, So I sold everything I had. My $2,000 car, by the way, some shit box, and came out here with $3,000 and a dream. And I said I had to do it. I was 28 when I moved here, so it was like now or never. Because, after 30, it gets a little tougher. So if you're in your 20s and you're, just thinking, but don't overthink, like, what if it doesn't work? You have to sink or swim, and maybe you'll make it, maybe you don't, but you're going to get some experience from it regardless. And
you're coming over here with enough, cash flow to probably keep you. And back then, 3,000 could keep you alive for probably 2 months. Right? So it's a bit of a different story. Yep. I mean, probably triple that now if you're planning for 3 months, or at least double.
Yeah, you should definitely come here with more than that.
But at least you had a job lined up, and they committed to giving
internship.
An internship. So does that mean paid or just
no, it was not paid. It was supposed to be. Well, that's a different story. I won't get into that. It was supposed to be paid. Wasn't paid for first couple of years actually before I got a salary. But that's where I got into. I built a business inside of Tiger. I started off, like I said, I had the idea of making highlight reels and photo packages for the guests, for their memories. So I actually pushed that, and that became successful. I mean, successful as it could be, where that was actually my way of earning. That was feeding.
Was that yours, or did you have to give a commission? Or
they let me, because I was working for free. There was no real commission, and plus they were getting the marketing from it. So it was like I was pumping out these customer highlight reels that were really kind of cool, for what they were, and they would get the marketing on YouTube.
Well, you're probably making okay money off that for being able to.
And well, it took a while. I mean, I was literally, I was making about $300 a month for the first year. Yeah, but I had free accommodation. They gave me a motorbike, and I got to eat, I think, once a day at the restaurant. So that 10,000 was like my 7-Eleven money at the time. But eventually, after I think the second year, it started doing a little better, and I got up to where I was making about a couple $1,000s a month off of between the small salary I ended up getting and the highlight reel business. I was able to.
As that was growing, were you planning to take it to another level, or were you just kind of, let's just go with the flow?
Well, at the time, I was just trying to live, to be honest with you. I was just trying to stay out there. My biggest fear was failure, and my biggest fear was going back home. Now that, I was approaching 30, and I was like, there's just no way I can fail. I got down to, about $500 in my bank account, and it was looking pretty rough. And I had some clashes with the owner plenty of times, and some other people in the business that were trying to out me. Tiger was a hostile place to work for at that time. There was a lot of different power struggles going on. So I was just trying to survive. I just met my wife at the time, so I was like, if I was to leave, I would have to move back in with my mother at 30, no job, not a dime to my name, not even a car, So you put that pressure on somebody, and it's, again, sink or swim. I'm on an island. I'm either going to find a way to eat, or I'm going to sit here and die. And and so it was just basically, I was just trying to survive.
Yeah, there's no going home. I've always had the theory, if anything fails, give me a handful of Valium and a styrofoam board and just push me out in the ocean. Because I'd rather do that than get in a plane and go back to Canada.
Yeah, pretty much. That was it. It was the end of the world if I was to fail.
What did you do to kind of overcome that hump? I mean, there must have been a next step in the business that, gave you some structure and gave you some hope.
Oh, sorry, say that.
Like more along the lines, you got $500 left in the bank, and we've all been there. Anyone that's I've been in Asia 13 years. The first 5 years, 3 years, it's not that it's a struggle, but you're pretty much living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Unless you're opening your own business and getting that big payday on some project, let's say.
Yeah.
So you're down to $500, and you kind of know what can come in, and if there is a power struggle where your bloodline gets cut off, then it gets very tough. So what did you do to make sure you didn't die?
Well, it was a little bit of luck, a lot of hard work, a little tiny bit of luck. I had, believe it or not, I had a YouTube video that went viral. It got a couple million views, and little did I know, Google sent me a check for about $4 or $5 grand or something like that. And that funded my current business, my wedding photography business. I ended up getting into that because I met some girl at the gym who was a destination wedding photographer, and she had a couple weddings booked here in Phuket, and she brought me along, and I met an event planner, and she gave me a chance to film my first wedding, and I actually ended up buying that company in 2018, the event company. So it's just...
This was this $5 grand. Now that's allowing you to purchase your own equipment and to expand, because I mean, if you're a wedding photographer or anyone in the media side, it's very difficult to bring on clients with no equipment. What do? Do you rent? Do you struggle? How do you show up to a meeting?
Right. So I was using Tiger's equipment because the owner then, he was big into once he saw the potential of the media, he bought a bunch of cameras and stuff like that. But the idea was, he had his thumb on me at the time. The idea was getting that thumb off of me, so getting my own equipment, and I also had to get. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah,
I had to set up my own business, get my work permits and things like that straightened away. So that $4 or $5 grand really
gone.
Yeah, gone.
Yeah, I mean,
Gone.
you set up a business in Thailand, probably with taxes and
Sure.
employees and your visa. That's 120,000 baht.
Sure.
Right there.
Yeah.
And maybe you get a camera.
Yeah. So I mean, luckily, the wedding thing, it really worked out because it was the timing of it. I was like the only foreigner on the island doing it, offering it. I spoke English. I didn't have a portfolio, so that was the hardest part, is building the portfolio and getting my foot in the door and keeping it there. But it just paid so much better. Like my first job, I think I got paid $1,000, and I worked, an 8-hour day, and I did the editing and stuff too. But that was like so much from I mean, the videos I was producing for Tiger, even in doing the highlight reels for the clients, I was getting paid like $150 to do some cheesy video, and here I am, I got a $1,000 paycheck after years of struggling.
Was there a transition like into the wedding photography, or were you kind of still working at Tiger and still doing the wedding photography, and then a slow leave?
It was a gradual leave because we built kind of like a media department inside of Tiger. Because after I think like 3 years, I think I generated something like, I want to say like 8 million views for Tiger, and it kind of blew up. It became the protocol for all the gyms, not just in Phuket, but in Thailand, that wanted to attract foreigners. It was like, you need an in-house videographer, and every in-house videographer was now, they mimicked my business, the highlight reel doing for the client, so they can make money, and no gym was really paying for a videographer. They were doing the same as Tiger, again, just free accommodation, maybe free training, give you access to the clients, so everybody kind of copied the formula to success. And really all those YouTube views, and that's what, I mean, I was producing like 30 videos a month for Tiger. 30. Like, we produced so many videos that I mean, if you typed into Google or YouTube Muay Thai at that time, 8 or 9 out of 10 videos were Tiger Muay Thai. And that's how Tiger Muay Thai was like, you couldn't avoid it. If you were looking for a different place or looking for different content, you would have a hard time finding it, because we flooded the market with content. YouTube. Yeah, and obviously other social medias came into play. Facebook. I started the Tiger Muay Thai MySpace back when the MySpace was a thing. So,
yeah, I mean, that's I mean, in terms of these stories, and I always look back, I mean, not to put too much ego on the podcast. Mm-hmm. I think what's interesting about this podcast is that I think it will have more relevancy in 20 years. Like, someone that is going to be 8th generation Tiger Muay Thai videographer, meaning it could be the year 2030, 35, 40. Yeah. They'll come back and see this, and maybe there's something they can learn, or they'll figure out who you are from this video and be able to reach out to you. For those people that might look back, your experience at Tiger Muay Thai, what is like the biggest advice you could give that might, transition as a timeless piece of advice? Working, and that can be applied to working in Thailand. That's probably something it's more difficult to think about.
Yeah, advice I would give.
I think just advice as a videographer coming, not just Tiger, but in Thailand in general. Mm-hmm. There's always these hidden golden nuggets that you only get from experience, that you probably can't even find online. Something that you experienced, you've been through, that you would pass on to that future generation.
Well, it's always, I think with anything, is find something you love to do. I was fortunate to kind of stumble upon something I love to do. Well, not just with the Muay Thai, but with the photography. My father was a photographer. I kind of grew up with a camera in my face. But I didn't realize you can even make a living at it until I picked up a camera and looked into it, you know. So you have to love what you do first. And I think if you love it enough, you obviously have to work hard, but if you love it enough, it will happen. That's pretty much the only advice I can give anybody, photography or any other trade in the world.
Yeah, I mean, you need to have that passion to be able to get up in the morning as
Yeah.
well. We were talking a little bit before, and that's why before the podcast, it gets confusing. Did we talk about that already on the podcast? Or
Sure.
we were talking about building that whole AV team, and we were talking about you were the one that hired Jeff as an intern, and now Jeff, I think he maybe, I don't know if he produced and directed or if he was more just the videographer for Israel Adesanya's movie. To watch your apprentice grow up and become the master, how does that make you feel?
Well, there's two parts of it. One, I'm super happy for him. He's always been a really cool kid, and you know, he's a great talent. So I'm super happy he's gone on to have so much success. And then the bitter part is me. He's like, hey, that's supposed to be me. You know, like you know, I would have loved to, you know, been in that position too, and I could have too, but you know, I kind of left the fight scene. But in general, obviously, super happy for Jeff and his success, and he's had some really cool experiences, you know.
Yeah, what was the dynamic like, as you know, you've created the video production department, the AV media team at Tiger, and you're watching the young guns come in. At that time was Jeff. You have to pass the torch. You said there was a lot of power struggle at Tiger. Was that easy transitions? Was there a lot of politics in play?
Oh, there was lots of politics. In my department, there wasn't too much until like the end. It wasn't with Jeff. Jeff was, again, if you've ever met him, he's a super laid back guy. So he was always really cool, but there was this other guy. I don't want to mention people's names, but there was someone else that I hired as kind of like an intern to come in and, you know, live the dream. And he kind of went for my job. But people forgot that the manager was my best friend from back home. So it was like, didn't really work out well for them at the time. But the dynamics, I mean, everybody worked together pretty well for the most part. It was just certain areas. It was everything was, you know, everything in Thailand's run a little bit loose, especially back then. It's probably better now. So it was too easy to get away with a lot.
You would have seen, especially back then, a lot of fighters come. And I know Bisbin was over at Top Team, but I mean, you would have seen that kind of next generation growing up in Tiger Muay Thai. Was there a difference in ego between the fighters back then compared to maybe the fighters you would see nowadays? Because back then, I mean, they probably were getting paid nothing. So I don't know if the ego could exist.
Yes and no. It depends. Well, this sport has grown so much. Yeah. It's kind of crazy, and the gym life is grown. I think now it's a lot more involved with, like, people are more involved with fitness part of it. I think back then it was like early UFC days. It was like, oh, who's the best street fighter, you know? There's a huge difference between Muay Thai and MMA, though. And, like, the guys, no offense, my MMA friends, there's a lot more ego in MMA. And I think people, because you watch it, it's kind of like, you know, it's WWE wrestling and MMA is kind of like,
you need to be
same fan base.
Today you need to have a character.
Yeah, the character and it just the whole idea is of who's the toughest guy in the room, you know. Where Muay Thai is it's a super humble sport. If you meet a handful of professional Muay Thai fighters, they'll be the most humble people you've ever met. You know, quiet. They don't talk. You know, they don't even look like tough guys. You know, but the MMA guys seem to be a little bit more. You know, they come in the gym, especially when they're new. After a while, most people get humbled after getting beat up a few
Kicked
times
in the head
gym.
a few times.
You're like, I'm tough until you go to the gym and someone that knows what they're doing kicks you in the face. So I think, there was a weird dynamic at Tiger at the time because MMA was still growing and MMA in Thailand was still growing. At the time, it was like nothing, you know. Will actually had the first MMA fight in Phuket ever. at Bangla Stadium, when Bangla Stadium was actually on Bangla Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it actually might have been the first MMA fight in Thailand, by the way. He holds that. He's a very humble guy. He'll never tell you that, but I'll tell you that. Will Elliott had the first MMA fight in all of Thailand.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
How did he do?
Oh, he won. He won really quick. He fought a Muay Thai. He was actually predominantly a Muay Thai fighter, kid named Alan, who was kind of like original Phuket guy back then. He choked him out like really quick.
Well, that's okay. No one got too injured.
Yeah, it's fine.
Because I'm sure back then, in terms of head injuries or hard sparring, it probably wasn't frowned upon. And was that prevalent? Would you see that in the gym compared to maybe nowadays?
No, I never saw any. You have people that come in the gyms and try to spar hard, go crazy, but they don't last long. But I don't see many injuries or anything like that in my experience.
How has the soy changed? I mean, coming in 2007, 2009, could you walk us through, like, I mean, we've all seen Back to the Future, and we see the development of those I forget the name of the area where he's living.
Yeah.
I mean, can you kind of use that as an analogy, or just even like to picture that and paint that picture for the audience? What was Tiger like in 2007, and what was the general progression in terms of development? What came first? What came next? And I mean, we talked to Joey before, and she was saying it was rubber plantations. Now you're pre-Joey. You're the OG of OGs.
Yeah, I was part of hiring Joey, I believe.
Yeah, so just let us know, what was it like in Tiger in 2007, and how has it changed?
Oh my God. It is the fastest growing economy I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I think it's peaked already, but the growth, I've never seen anything like it. Again, I come from a small town that can't even build. So like, it was wild. So when I first came to Tiger, the whole entire street was a rubber plantation. Tiger Muay Thai had 2 rings, had about 20, 30 guests, very quiet. There was one other gym called, I think, Tiger Pit. Sean Douglas ran that one. He used to be kind of a partner with Tiger. Long story behind that. So that was the only other gym, and the only restaurant was Mama's Restaurant before Tony's. Just Mama's Restaurant, and there was a Som Tam place at the very end of the road where the latex factory is now. They sold Som Tam and Gayang chicken, grilled chicken. So there was literally nothing. It was so, I remember, especially at nighttime after going to the fights or something from Batong, when you got about a half kilometer to the soy, you would feel a cold breeze because of the nature there. You would, like, literally the temperature would drop 10, 15 degrees. I don't know what Celsius, sorry, I'm American. But it would get so much cooler and the air would be super fresh. And that used to be the soy, but now it's kind of like, smells like Batong now. It grew, and it, after the first year I went there, went back, of course it was a dozen more restaurants, and it just didn't stop growing, really. I mean, just in a few years, but now, I mean, I've been off the soy since like 2016, probably. And even since then, it's, what can you say?
Yeah, I mean, you go back, it's Thailand in general. I mean, obviously I never go to Chalong, and every time I go, there's like a giant Robinsons there. Like,
oh yeah,
the construction in Phuket is nonstop, especially since COVID ended.
Yeah.
I've never seen, it's almost like there was this rubber band that just was stretched and snapped.
Yeah.
And now it's just, the construction here is, it's insane. Even like before COVID, there was construction, but not at this rate. It's almost like all the construction they've missed for 2 years, they're doing it all in like 6 months.
Yeah,
and it's pretty intense.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And I mean, the soy now, they have even the amount of gyms. There's a new gym next to Tiger now called Apollo.
Yeah, so
you seen that?
Yeah, I think Sean Kober's there.
Yeah, I couldn't even believe it because it was like, I only get a chance to go down there like every 2 or 3 months or something like that. Not often do I go down the soy anymore, but when just like within 2 months, boom, there's a big ass gym. But it seems like every time I go down there, it's like that. But you're right, all of Phuket is kind of like, Phuket back then was so, I mean, to be honest with you, I enjoyed it more because it was more mine. I'm a bit selfish. I'm like, it's my island, my experience, Now it's just so like commercialized, and it's exploded. Well, all of Thailand has exploded, but I mean, Phuket, I think, was rated one of the most over-traveled places in the world.
Yeah, I can't. I really wonder what they're doing with the garbage here. Like, you got if the island's 10x'd, the garbage is 20x'd. I don't know. I wonder where these landfills are. I have no idea, to be honest.
I know there's one in Phuket town, and I don't know where the other one is.
Maybe they
who knows?
Throw it on ships and sell it to China. Who knows?
It's probably going right in the ocean water that you're swimming in.
Maybe. When you came here and you're 28 to 30, I mean, obviously you're not coming with a girlfriend. Now you're married. You have kids. Is it a Thai wife or?
Yeah, Thai wife. She's I met her.
So as we all know, moving here, and we'll keep this PG-13. You know, there's always maybe the first few years you were that young, strapping young lad that could go out for. I guess people that are looking to come here. We all have our experiences to share of. Maybe don't do that in your first 5 years. Can you talk? I'm kind of beating around the bush here without trying to even burn myself. Can you talk a little about coming as a single male? What is the experience like, and how did you transition and change into a married man with kids?
Well, my wife found me very early.
You're lucky then.
Yeah, no, like literally, like I moved here in August 2009. I met her in December 2009. So as far as living here and being single, I didn't have a lot of experience, and I was super brokey back then. So it's like I'd take a girl to 7-Eleven, buy her some peanuts, like
Tinder didn't work.
It was with no swiping left or right.
Yeah.
I've never done that before.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful. I mean, obviously, what people see, what kind of I don't like is the perception of Thailand and Thai women from abroad, or people that just come here for 2 weeks and stuff, because people go right to the red light district. So I guess my advice would be never go to the red light district to find a girlfriend. That's really it. Most Thai women are very sweet and genuine and loyal and hardworking people.
I guess it's what do you expect to find at the red light district? I guess it's the same as if you want to go you get in shape and have a clean diet. Probably don't go to McDonald's either.
Yeah, you don't go to McDonald's and the bar to
so you gotta pick your poison as well. You living on the soy, and you're watching people coming for health and fitness. I mean, a lot of them can stay focused, but a lot of them, they come to escape drugs or rehab or to, have a change. Have you seen people fall off the wagon and maybe even people you've met?
Yeah, even people I know from back home that came here and tried to, change their life and live the dream, kind of fell off. If you have a drug or alcohol problem, this place could probably be a bad place for you, because everything's in kind of excess,
24/7.
Debauchery is around the corner all the time. I mean, even if you come from a very sober, straight place and, state of mind and everything, this place could eat you alive, man. Yep. It really can. You can get lost in, the nightlife, and there is a lot of seedy stuff. There's a seedy side, with all the good, there's going to be all the bad, So if you're someone with an addiction problem, maybe this part of Thailand wouldn't be the best for you.
It's definitely like Thailand, especially, people getting stuck at the bars. I mean, it's very easy. What's today? I think we're filming at 2 p.m. on a Thursday. It's very easy to be like, all right, I'm done filming, go to the beach and drink 35 San Miguel Lights.
Yeah.
And as you get older, I mean, I probably still do that, but as you get older, I'm probably talking about exactly what I'm going to do after this.
Yeah.
No, as you get older, the hangovers get rougher, and living in Thailand, there's no on or off switch. You really only have your own self-control, and you can watch people really go down the wrong path and come back.
Yeah. I've had some friends that got really into the yaba.
Yeah.
And ice, and they were like just doing crazy stuff. I couldn't even. Yeah, and you can end up in a Thai jail, and that's one of the last prisons you want to end up in.
Yeah, I think I didn't realize how rampant the yaba was in Thailand. I've heard a lot of stories I won't go into detail with. For me personally, I don't get it. It doesn't, like, why do I want to be up for 4 days?
Right.
So I haven't fully understood it. But I guess it's more along the lines because it's so cheap and it's easy to have access. So if you don't, I guess these people, if you don't have money for higher quality nose drugs, let's or let's or even to be able to go out to the bars, like I think Yaba is like 20 baht a pill, someone was saying, or 50 baht.
It's probably even cheaper in some areas.
This is why they
kids, mostly kids, and it affects the poor end of the society here. But on the other side, there isn't a lot of like other drugs that you see. You don't see a lot of opiate addicts, heroin, even though we live in the Golden Triangle.
Yeah, no, you don't see that here.
Yeah, you don't see
they're exporting that.
Yeah, they're exporting. Yeah, exactly.
They're making money.
Yeah, they're like, so Yaba is like the thing for the young people. But I seen a lot of foreigners come here and get mixed up with it. 'Cause it's again cheap, and they're hanging out with these young bar girls, and these bar girls are into it because they kind of, a lot of the bar girls have to take these drugs to be able to stay up all night and drink and live the lifestyle they're living. It's between that and a lot of the laborers. They work in factories and construction. You see these guys, and they have to work in truck drivers. So they take these pills, and keeps them up for 2 days to get the job done.
Yeah, taxi. I mean, that's why those white taxis, anytime I'm on a motorbike, that's the one. Like, if he's on my ass, I am pulling. Like, I pull to the side. Right. Because, like, they'll drive up your ass and try to pass all traffic.
Yeah, okay. One thing in Thailand is beware of the small trucks. Something about the small trucks, drug users, and race car drivers. Like, these guys, I don't know what it is. You see the 2-door, not the 4-door trucks.
Little gray-looking ones.
The little shit boxes. They think they're driving a little hot rod. For some reason, these guys are so yoked up on whatever, and they drive like madmen.
Yeah, I saw one. I was on my motorbike going to, I think I was crossing the bridge and leaving the island, but it's kind of like just past the airport on the highway, and there's a part on the road where it kind of winds. It's not that bad, and there's a guardrail, and I was behind this guy, and I just saw him like ripping. And the turn went sharp, but not bad. I mean, it's the fucking highway, and he just went right through the guardrail, launched, and just did like a somersault, landed back on the thing, and like I was driving slow enough to look by that like he was okay. I'm like, he'll be okay. Yeah. But that is what you'll see in Phuket. Specifically in Phuket on the highways, you will see these, like you said, these trucks. They're either wasted or on Yaba, and they are driving like lunatics.
Well, listen, sorry, Thai people, you guys are terrible drivers. It's kind of like everything's so embedded in their culture because everything's sabai, and I have a lot of Thai staff that I travel with, and sometimes they'll have to drive because I'll have to work on my phone or whatever, and they drive like crazy. They're not on drugs. I don't think they are, but no, they're not, and they drive crazy too. And I'm like, but their philosophy is kind of like, I didn't die last time, so like, look, I'm still alive. Like, dude, no, but like, I want to live, man. I don't want to take these risks. Also what it is like education. Like back home, we had driver's ed, and we had to drive for a certain amount of time and have our permit and etc. They don't have that here. My wife, when she bought her first car, she didn't have a license yet. And they gave her the car, drive away. I still don't have my Thai license. I've been living here for 15 years. It's like,
I know I need to get it. Well, it sounds so scary. It's like, you got not in a time management way. When you don't have time, it's like, okay, well, you show up at 8 and you might get it by 3. And if you miss your appointment, you go back 8 weeks later.
I failed. That's right. I did try it. I failed. It was not the written test, but the computer test. And listen, how I failed is they asked me, what would you stop for? Would you stop for or not stop, but slow down? Would you slow down for an elephant, a cow, or like a dog or something like that? And I was like, well,
all?
Well, maybe all, but if I was to choose one, I'd probably slow down for the elephant, because he'd probably mess me up if I went to, a little too fast. I don't want to scare that guy. But that was the wrong answer. The wrong answer is you slow down for the cows.
Why?
Because they're more skittish.
Okay.
Like the elephants are really laid back. I've driven past elephants and it's just like, they're whatever. I'm bigger than you. They're not scared of a oncoming car, but the cows are very skittish and the bulls. And I didn't believe that until one day my wife came home and half of her car was dented in. She's like, 2 cows hit me. I was like, get out of here. I thought she was hiding some terrible accident, but then you look at the side, you see all the fur on the side of the car,
Like they kind of ran into her.
They were chasing each other or something like that. And, they saw the car and they just bam, right in the side of the car.
Yeah. I mean, these big buffalo here, people don't realize how big they are. These water buffalo.
Yeah.
I hit one on my motorbike and it was pretty dark at night on one of the main roads up here. I think it's the one that connects from Boat Avenue to that highway up there.
Yep.
And it was probably 10, 11 o'clock at night. I remember I was going quick. I was going 80. Jeez. And this is this was probably 6 years ago. So there wasn't too much development going on. And a buffalo was crossing the road and it's so dark and I didn't see him. And I saw him last minute and I swerved and I missed him where only my mirror hit his ass and snapped off.
Oh, shit.
And for sure, if you hit him, I would have exploded.
Yeah.
Like these things, what are they? They probably weigh more than a Fortuner.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, and they'll just sit in the middle of the road too. Like I've almost hit one directly. They're just in the middle of the road, in the middle of the night, on a dark road with no lights. So you definitely have to be careful.
We'll end it on kind of one more note and story. I mean, now that you're a family man, any expats that are looking to move abroad and they want to come with a family, could you share some advice for them of, what are the actual costs as a budget and just giving a little bit of an idea? You want to bring a family here. You want to have a family in Thailand. What's it really going to cost?
Right. So, I mean, it's obviously depends on your lifestyle. Lifestyle is huge. You can, people move out here because you can live cheap, but also at the same time, you can find yourself living, it's not so cheap, So it really depends on you and your lifestyle. But if you're going to have a family, I'd say education is going to be a big cost. If you want good education, you're going to have to get an international school. My wife, she's actually the director of Head Start International.
It's big cost savings.
Yeah, so I get 2 free children. I only have 1 kid now, but if we're up to 2 kids, we get free education. So that's if I didn't have free education, it'd be very difficult.
Yeah, Head Start's probably what, 400,000 or 500,000 baht a year? 400?
I think so. Like the younger ages, maybe like I think it's a little over 300,000, and then the older ages is I think it's 350 to 450.
Yeah, so you're talking 10 to 15,000.
Yeah, so you got it every month. You're looking like around $1,000-$1,500 with obviously put your kids in after school activities as well and
school trips
and things like that. So I mean, all around budget, I'd say you probably want to be making 150 at the minimum a month if you have a kid. If you have 2 kids, 3 kids. You gotta remember, you gotta take out 30 to 50,000 per month per kid if you have them in international school. I know a lot of people that don't have their kids in international schools too, and that's fine if you're okay with that. There is like English programs like Kajunkiet that they do. It's much cheaper, but it's like a decent.
But it's still not that much cheaper. Like it's compared to like Canada where US education's free.
Yeah.
So if you have people back home looking to come over here, it's either you got to be coming with money or go be a teacher at one of those schools.
Yeah, that's
then you get free education.
If you're a qualified teacher to work at an international school, I believe their kids get free education. Yeah. So that's one option. But if not, if you have a family, it's a little bit tougher. But if you're coming out here, if you're single or even married and no kids yet, then it really depends on your lifestyle. You can live as cheap as 50,000 a month to as much as 200,000. I found that the more money I made, the more money I spent. Pre-COVID, I'm not gonna say exactly how much money I was making, but just say more than enough.
Well, the thing about Phuket is it's very easy to go have a 5,000 baht dinner every night if you want.
Yes.
And it's very tempting too as well. Mm-hmm. The reality is if you do that, it's not so much the spending. You're just going to be a fat ass, and you're probably going to get wine and a beer, and now you're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, it's not that you can't, and there's always something going on, but I think realistically, for us, I cook Monday to Friday, and it's more or less like Food Panda, Grab. Like if I go on this thing, I'm just like kebab, burger.
Oh, yeah.
Like what else am
yeah.
I? Indian food. Like there's nothing. I'm not going to order a poke bowl. Get lost. My
Sure.
girlfriend's like, order a salad. I'm like, I'll make a salad.
Yeah.
You
So,
think
yeah.
I'm ordering a pizza.
Yeah.
So it's to that lifestyle in Phuket. Yeah, that can get expensive. But yeah, like what you said, probably without kids, yeah, probably 100, 120. With kids, maybe 150. Yeah. There's a lot of content out there. And I think people just do it for clickbait where they say, you can come to Thailand and live on $1,000 Get bent. So would you be able to kind of debunk that myth? Like, this is just not realistic.
Well, no, you can, but it's what they don't tell you is how long you can do that for. Again, my first year out here, I made $300. It did like 10,000 to 15,000 baht a month.
But that's 2007.
Yeah.
It's still a bit, yeah.
True, but that is probably equivalent to like 30,000 now, right? And you're not going to be happy in the long run. You can do it if you want to live the dream for 6 months. Go for it. You're gonna, you can have some great experiences. You don't need a bunch of money to experience the culture and live a decent lifestyle. But in the long term, you're gonna think about like health insurance. Having a decent place, eating healthier. Being healthy is expensive. So gym memberships and. I eat a lot of organic food now, and I'm big on the vegetables. So that gets expensive, and you're going to get into a community of expats here that have probably their own businesses and better income. They're going out to eat, or they're going to the bars and the nightlife and stuff. You can't afford that. If you're making 30,000 baht a month, you're not going to the bars. What I used to do is I buy the Samsung, the cheap Thai whiskey, which was like 300 baht for the little quart. And I'd buy a Coke and I'd pour it in there. And my friends would go to the bar and I'd be like, I'll be there in 15 minutes. I'd just walk back and forth down Bengal Road, drink the entire bottle, and then go into the bar. And I can only afford to, get one beer. So, there's ways around it, but you're not going to be happy long term. There's no way.
No, I think most people, again, that have moved to Asia have the same stories. When you're moving to Asia, you need a bit of a game plan. Like you can grind it for a year, 6 months to a year. But if you don't have some sort of game plan there, it's going to get pretty rough after that. It's hard to live after a year living on those types of budgets. Yeah. I think it's okay. And not to cause any controversy, because many people will say, well, Thai people do it. But the difference is they're also hanging out with other Thai people that aren't spending as much.
Yes.
And they can eat Thai food every day,
yes.
which is not a problem because they're Thai. As a foreigner, I can eat Thai food maybe 3 days in a row. And then there's a certain point where there's just so much flavor in Thai food that our white tongues needed like a sandwich or something simple.
Yes.
And I think my main point is more, yes, the Thais can live cheaper. Sometimes they'll live 3 in a place. But local Thai food is very inexpensive. Yeah. I mean, sure, it can get pricey. And going on your point, when you get involved in the expat community, I take you out to dinner. Well, maybe we go out and it's 5, 6, 7. Now you're with wife and kids, easy 10,000 baht, maybe with 2 bottles of wine. Sure. Well, now it's your responsibility to do it next time. And now imagine you're doing that with 5 or 6 people. That's where the lifestyle can get pricey because you need to give back. You can't always, just be going out and taking. It is what it is. So I think that whole myth of, coming to Thailand, surviving on $1,000 a month, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah, I mean, if you're coming here, if you're living like the fighter lifestyle, like, I don't know if you know who Johnny Betts is. He's a Tiger Muay Thai. Like he's been there longer than I have. And he moved out here when he was like 16, 17. And he's been a full-time fighter, and he's still a full-time fighter. And he does a little bit of work for Tiger. He does a little bit of like filming the fights, and I think he got a gig with ONE FC now. But anyways, he's still at Tiger, but he roughed it forever. I think he's living a little better now, but we're talking a good 10 years. He was living where the trainers were living, so there was no air conditioning. He was sleeping on the floor, squat toilet. he was eating at the local Thai places. Like he's one of the only people I know that could live that lifestyle and was happy with it. Cause he's like, you know, some foreigners can come kind of become Thai, they say, you know, so, but that's very few.
Where's he from?
He's from the UK.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Well, maybe I'll bring him on.
Yeah, he was, I think he was a Max Muay Thai champion.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, he's legit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just depends on your taste as well. Like I have friends as well. They can easily, you know, go to the same Thai restaurant or, you know, even get the chicken burgers there. Mm-hmm. But at a certain point, it's difficult in Thailand because you see it all around you. Yeah. And then kind of, you know, once you get a taste of it, it's hard to go back.
Yeah. You just can't eat. I can't eat Thai food every day either. You know, it's and it's not that healthy. You think it is because the ingredients, a lot of the ingredients they use are healthy, like the fresh ones. But once they put it in that frying pan with that oil, seed oil, you know, and even their soups that are, you know, have a lot of, you know, ginger and turmeric and these ingredients, they use MSG and a lot of salt, so it's high in sodium. So yeah, it's hard to live off of that
unless you're cooking Thai food at home. But I mean, even the turmeric and the ginger, you go to super cheap. I mean, if you want to grab it quick or Tesco, this stuff is all GMO turmeric and ginger. Like you see the size of the stuff. Ginger should not be that big. Yeah, it's like I mean, you go to Tesco. I swear the carrots get bigger every time. Yeah, like some of the carrots are that big. So I mean, this is clearly GMO. So even if you think you're eating healthy, who knows? And even are you vegan? Are you eating meat or?
No. Well, I do eat meat. I'm definitely not vegan. I couldn't do that. I just don't think it's the answer. But I am probably 90% vegetarian. You know, I whatever's healthy for my body, I put it in there. You know, I try to, and I think a lot of, you know, also people's bodies are different. I have a hard time digesting too much meat. My body doesn't process protein very well, so I'm actually, despite these guns, I don't get a lot of protein. You know, and I'm not a big believer in protein either. So, yeah, about 90% vegetarian.
Well, it's where are you getting your meat if you are getting it?
I usually go to like Tops Market.
Yeah, I'm sure Tops you're probably gonna get. It's a bit more expensive. You get better quality.
Yeah. I don't go to the like
the wet markets or
the Macro. My wife goes there and you go and you can just smell the guts.
I always question like we have a Thai butcher that we order meat from Bangkok. I'm not giving that out, sorry, because the next thing I know, my prices will go up because everyone floods them. It's my secret sauce. But you go to Tesco and like you buy 3 kg of chicken breast and it's like 140 baht. Yeah. And that's where I start to question like how much antibiotics has been injected in these chickens. Like how is it so cheap? It's compared to the Canada and the US. Like my brother was telling me that a kg of chicken could be 30 bucks, 1,000 baht. Here, like a kg is what? I don't eat less than 200, maybe 150. Yeah. Why is it so cheap?
Yeah, mass production. But I'd say if you go to some of the markets, you could, you know, and it's a bit of a gamble whether or not it's fresh, but a lot of that meat actually comes from local farms, you know, which and when I say local farms, I don't mean these big ones where they need to inject them with hormones and the chickens are actually this big and not, you know, the giant turkey chicken hybrids, you know. But yeah, it's hard to find quality anything nowadays. We're talking about the supplements too, the supplement games. It's so hard to know what you're putting in your body.
Well, I guess that's a quick free plug for us there. We'll ask that question. To be honest, when guests come on, I completely forget about the mushrooms. It's like maybe if it comes up naturally, it just doesn't. But we were talking downstairs. You're taking lion's mane and cordyceps, and you're talking to John how it is helping and changing for you. One thing that I've noticed, people who have very clean lifestyles and diets, specifically like heavier plant-based, stuff like lion's mane or cordyceps, it works better on them because their system's so clean. Can you just talk about your experience with medicinal mushrooms?
Yeah, so it's kind of new to me. I think I stumbled when I first saw your podcast and your brand and things like that, and I started to look into it. So I'm fairly new to the game, but the moment I tried it, I tried lion's mane was the first thing I tried. And, you know, sometimes with my work, I have to concentrate a lot, especially like long days at a wedding. You know, I had so much I got to think about and focus on, and it's so easy to have mental fatigue, and I think that's what I deal with. Plus, I'm out in the heat, I'm sweating at the same time. If we're talking 10-hour days, right? And I remember the first time I took lion's mane on the job, I was zinging, like wow, and I was super creative, and I didn't have to think about it. It was just coming, and like you said, words were coming out of my mouth that I don't know where they were quite coming from, somewhere in my brain, you know, and I was just way more productive. And I was like, wow, this is great. And then so I looked into obviously the other ones like cordyceps for training. And that was really great for my cardio, you know.
Are you doing high intensity running or?
No, I'm still training a little bit of Muay Thai. Actually, I'm just starting to really get back into the Muay Thai, which is hard when you take so much time off. And now I'm 40, almost 43. So I don't exactly have the stamina and the energy or the time to be that fit anymore. So getting into Muay Thai is actually even though 20 years on, it's quite intimidating to get into a Muay Thai class with a bunch of young guys.
You can feel the cordyceps. Like I find, like if you're doing pad work and you're doing, I don't know, like a 3-minute round, and you know where your lungs burn out. Are you feeling that extra burst? That's what I try to explain to people.
Yes, it's just like an extra. It's not like I don't really feel like a boost of energy. It's not like, you know, drinking caffeine. It's more of like I just get pushed a little bit more with my lungs. Yeah, you're right. Like you know, you can just go that extra minute without burning out.
It's kind of like I find on the high intensity side, and especially pad work, and this is what a lot of Muay Thai fighters will tell me. It's you expect the burn to come and it doesn't. You're like, I should be a bit more gassed right now, and it gets delayed almost.
Yes, it's just like a delay, and also the recovery is a lot better. Like between rounds, you know, like normally I'd still be exhausted, like getting into the second round of pads. You know, like you only get like that minute or two break. But I notice I'll be a lot fresher, you know, coming into the next round, which is, you know, everything for an athlete.
Yeah, it's from the family of adenosine, and adenosine is usually it's essentially a blocker in your brain. That's why when we take caffeine is essentially blocking adenosine, which is allowing you to get tired essentially. And cordyceps, it's called cordycepine, and the molecular structure is very similar to that. That's what it's doing. It's like blocking the ability to get tired. But you need to be careful with it. You should, like coffee, you should only take cordyceps. You have to wait 90 minutes in the morning till you're up because you need the brain to turn on naturally.
Sure.
Otherwise, you'll get tired in the afternoon. But the main thing from it, it's pumping like oxygen back into the blood. So you're getting maximum levels.
And it actually has an interesting story too. When I actually did some research on it and found out it's like a zombie mushroom.
Okay. So this product here isn't. So this is why it's orange, and I showed it downstairs. We call it. Sorry, this isn't a plug. It's more a quick education piece. We'll wrap it up in a second. Okay. So the reason why it's called the zombie mushroom is there was a show that came out, The Last of Us, and everyone's kind of pushed that. The zombies were taking this mushroom, infected them, and they were all zombies. I guess it was a video game. So everyone jumped on that, and they're like, oh, it's the zombie mushroom. Yeah. But the reason they call it the zombie mushroom is there's a strain called Cordyceps sinensis. This one's called Cordyceps militaris. Corda means club, seps is stick, and then militaris is soldier. And that's what it looks like. It looks like a club of a soldier. The zombie part of the story is that Cordyceps sinensis is the cordyceps that grows in the Himalayas. So it grows in Bhutan and places in Nepal and up in Tibet. The Sherpas will go up around 3 a.m. and they're already at 4,000 meters, and they go another like maybe 1,000 or 500 meters, and they wait until the sun first rises. And when the sun rises, the snow will melt a little bit. And then they'll begin to find the cordyceps mushroom. And actually what it is, it's the mushroom and the fungus that has taken over like a caterpillar or a worm.
Right.
And the mushroom has got inside and taken over the body. And then the whole thing, essentially, it looks like a worm, but it's actually a mushroom and it's eating it from the outside.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that's why they call it the cordyceps zombie mushroom.
Yeah.
And it does look similar. This one's orange. That one's like a darker color. But here's where it's fucking crazy. That mushroom in Bhutan, Nepal, Himalayas, whatever, it costs $20,000 a kilo.
Damn.
And some get up to 50,000. I've been to Bhutan. I visited the cordyceps guys that pick it. And these guys will look like they have no money because of the house. And they'll go in their kind of looks like it's like a closet kind of, but under the stairs. I don't know what you call that.
Yeah.
And he just pulls out a Tupperware to me and he's like, yeah, let me show you. He pulled out like 20 kg.
Right.
I'm like, this guy's got serious cash. And the people buying it are the Chinese. Because the Chinese don't buy it to take it. They buy it to frame it and put it on their wall in business.
Oh, right.
That's
a little feng shui.
And what's crazy about all of it, the only reason it's expensive is because it's so hard to find in the Himalayas and you have to be so high up there. And it's almost like a diamond. Like there's military out there. If you took the molecular structure, the chemical compound of that one and compared it with Militaris side by side and you took both of them, it's the same fucking thing. Like there isn't more advantage of taking it there.
Right.
The history behind it and why cordyceps help add oxygen to your blood flow is because you get altitude sickness from the Himalayas. That's where it originated from.
That's real stuff too. Yeah.
So if anyone is going to go to high altitude, take cordyceps, especially fighters that fight in Mexico at high altitude or Colorado. If you take cordyceps, that will help you acclimatize much more efficiently.
Interesting. I wish I knew that years ago. I went to Tibet, maybe 5-6 years ago now. But yeah, that altitude sickness is real. Man. It kind of ruined my vacation because I was like trying to enjoy it, but I had these headaches. As soon as I landed, I was dizzy. I was like, not here. Don't.
Did you try to hike the first day or something?
No, I didn't even go there to go hiking. I just kind of went. I went to Lhasa, Tibet, and we did you can't go anywhere really without a tour guide. So we had that tour around Tibet, but I don't know why I did this, I don't know. But we ended up driving from Lhasa, Tibet to Kathmandu, Nepal. We stayed at a base camp in in a Tibetan family's teepee type of tent thing it was like some I don't know. But yeah, it was an incredible experience, but it was so much harder to enjoy and just because the altitude sickness was real.
It's
as soon as I got off Lhasa is the highest city in the world, right? As soon as I got off the airplane, I was in the airport. I was like, ooh, hey, I'm feeling a little dizzy, I was just like trying not to pass out right there. So I was like, then they're going to send me back, so.
Did you feel it? I felt it in Bhutan, but I felt it mostly when I was climbing stairs.
Yeah.
We would have the hotel and I would go up a flight. I'd be like, oh, you feel there's nothing. And the first day we got there was these stairs. So I ran them and you're okay to run. But when you stop running and you go to grab your oxygen, it's not coming in. And it's actually extremely terrifying. Yeah. Because you're like you taste the air, you feel the air, but your blood's not getting it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just walking around, I felt like it's probably similar feeling of being 90 years old, you know? That's,
you have emphysema.
Emphysema, yeah. You're just walking up a flight of stairs and you're just, Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll end it on that note. So if anyone going to Tibet or Bhutan or whatnot, hit us up. We got some cordyceps that'll help you out. Just before we end the podcast, I'm going to kick this camera right there back to Daniel. Just let everyone know if they want to reach out for wedding photography or anything along those lines. Plug all your information. I'll put links in the description and shoot away there.
All right. So if you're coming here for a wedding, or maybe you just want to you're coming with your significant other and you want a photo shoot, check out my website, dbaciphotography.com. I am one of the best in the country. That's about
one of the best. And also they can find you on Instagram as well.
Yeah, Instagram at the Baci.
Yep. Okay. And you can probably hit you up there as well. So DBACI.
Correct.
.com.
Yes.
Oh,
Baci Photography.
Photography. Okay. Yes, I was going to say, shit, that's a pretty, that domain might be worth more than.
Yeah.
Okay, that wraps up another episode. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, buy some mushrooms, and we're out.